So you guys ended up wanting for me to cover the rest of the genes rather than cover some of the chi squared, or cover all of the chi squared. So that's what I'm going to do. The chi squared you should be able to figure out with her in-class lectures, and the answer key. I should show you everything that you need to know how to do. Do know how to do the free response, like when it's asking you to explain the we failed to reject the null hypothesis or talk about significance, that sort of thing. You do need to know that. Okay, so let's just go ahead and jump right into it. We have number 12 next. Number 12. Normal length in fur in rabbits is controlled by the dominant allele R, and a short type of fur called Rex is determined by the recessive allele R. Dominant allele B controls black fur color. The recessive allele B controls brown. Okay. So we have black and brown. Big B is black, recessive is brown. Okay. Diagram a cross between a homozygous rabbit with normal length, black fur, and Rex rabbit with brown fur. What are their phenotypic ratios resulting from this cross? Okay, so we have one that's homozygous, normal black, and one that's homozygous, Rex and brown, I believe, right? Normal black, yeah. So we have a homozygous dominant individual crossing with a homozygous recessive individual. We're asked for the phenotype for the answers, so this is just going to be as our answer. Our phenotypic ratio is just going to be 1 or something like that. You can just write 100%. Let's just write 100%, even though that's a percent. 100% RB or normal black. Okay? B, what proportion of the normal black rabbits in the F2 generation of this cross can be expected to be homozygous for both parent pairs of genes? Yeah, the answer to B is just going to be 0. It's essentially asking, of this generation, how many are going to be homozygous, not heterozygous? They're all going to be heterozygous, so this would simply be 0%. What would the expected phenotypic and genotypic results of backcross between a member of the F1 generation and a fully recessive Rex brown parent? So here it's asking us, if we take this right here, so a fully heterozygous individual crossing with, I believe it's a homozygous recessive. Yeah. What are the phenotypic and genotypic results? This would be, let's do 1/2 big R, 1/2 little r. Half of them are going to be heterozygous for R, half of them are going to be homozygous recessive for R. And then from there we go 1/2 for big B, 1/2 for little b. And then again, like the R's, the other parent can only give one recessive allele. So then we can just write our answers. This is going to be 1 over 4 being RR. This is going to be 1 over 4 being RR. Okay. So those would be our answers for genotype. Let's do phenotype. We write it so slash 1 over 4 being R dom B dom, 1 over 4 being R dom B recessive, 1 over 4 being, oh, I didn't write the full genotype for that. So it would be 1 over 4 being RR, B dom, and then fully recessive. Okay. You could have done this where you just do the dashes to indicate now you're talking about phenotype, or you could have actually written out the traits that we had. So you could have said like 1 over 4 being normal black, 1 over 4 being normal brown, 1 over 4 being Rex black, 1 over 4 being Rex brown. You could have also done that. But that would be our answer for that. This next question is asking us to find the phenotype and genotypic ratios for garden peas. We're not given letter designations, so we'll just make them up. The first one is a tall and homozygous dominant, so we'll call this big S, little s. Tall homozygous dominant plant. Crossed with a dwarf plant. So crossed with a dwarf plant. This is a homozygous dominant with a homozygous recessive, so the genotype we're going to end up with is just going to be heterozygous, and the phenotype is just going to be tall. Okay, next one. We have the progeny of A when self-pollinated. Okay, so we are going to take a heterozygous individual and cross it with a heterozygous individual. We would be getting 1/2 being, this is genotype and phenotype. So this would be 1 over 4 would be that, 1 over 4 would be big S, little s, and then the next one would be 1 over 4 being big S, little s, and the last one would be 1 over 4 with homozygous recessive. And we can combine these two here to give us 2 over 4. Okay, so these would be our genotype ratios. For our phenotype ratios, we would have 3 over 4 being tall, and then 1 over 4 being dwarf. So there's our answers for B. C is asking the progeny of A crossed with a homozygous tall plant. Okay, so we're taking a heterozygous individual and crossing it with a homozygous dominant. That is going to give us 1/2 big S, 1/2 big S, small s, and the phenotype for that would be 100% for tall phenotype. Okay. D, the progeny of A crossed with a dwarf plant. We would be taking a heterozygous individual mixed with a homozygous recessive, which would give us 1/2 heterozygous, 1/2 homozygous recessive. So then we would have 1/2 be tall and 1/2 be dwarf? Okay. That is a simple question. For this next one, number 16, we have big A and little a. Big A being colored maze and little a being colorless. Colorless. Then we also have waxy, and I think the other one is starchy. Oh yeah, wax is recessive, starch is dominant. So we have starch and waxy. And we are asked to give the relative frequencies of offspring resulting, phenotypes only, when this individual is test crossed. Okay. This one's a little strange because you don't have each gene being, or each allele being represented by just one letter. For waxy, each two letters, the WX represents one allele. So this looks a little strange. But I think that's the point of this question. Okay, so we are test crossing it, which means that we are taking this and crossing it with a homozygous recessive individual, and we are asked for phenotypic ratios. Alright, so 1/2 is going to be A, and 1/2 is going to be homozygous recessive for A. From there, 100%, since this one can only give a recessive allele and this one can only give a dominant allele, we are going to have 100% be heterozygous, but we're just asked for phenotypes, so we are just going to put that and that. So our phenotypic ratios would be 1:1 colored starch to 1 colorless starch. And that's it for this question. So the main difficulty with this question is the wording. Let's just take it one step at a time. So purple is dominant to white, so we'll do that represents purple. And this represents white. We are told that we have a purple flower, so we know we have that, and then it's self-pollinated to give us 28 purple and I think it was 10 white. Yeah. So, again, like the other questions, there's multiple ways of getting to the right answer. You could divide this number, see that it is 2.8, that's super close to 3, so we have a heterozygous individual mixing with a heterozygous individual. Or you could just think, since this is self-crossed, if it was homozygous dominant and it's self-crossed with itself, you would only be getting dominant alleles to the offspring. There would be no way of getting any progeny that is white or recessive. So, the answer to this is that we have a heterozygous individual self-pollinating. We are now asked what proportion of this self-pollination will give us true-bred progeny. So that essentially means anything that's not heterozygous. We know that we are going to have 1/4 be big W, big W. We have 2/4 that are going to be big W, little w. We're going to have 1/4 be little w, little w. We can just cross out this one. What percent of the total would be true bred? Both of these are true bred, so we're going to have 2 out of 4, or 50% that are going to be bred true / homozygous. And there's our answer. This is a very wordy question. The information that we're given originally is that we have 2 plants, A and B, but both of them had a mutation where they developed no trichomes. So we're talking about a trichome gene. We were also told that whenever they were crossed with a wild type, or just the wild type is what's found in nature, it's going to be they're going to have a dominant allele or not express the mutations typically. And so we're told that when our mutant plants cross with the wild type, then the offspring express the wild type phenotype. This means that our mutation is going to be recessive. So we know that no trichomes is going to be recessive, and trichomes is going to be dominant. So trichomes and no trichomes. Okay. And we are told that whenever the F1 plants were selfed, the resulting F2s were as followed. We have both normal and trichomes. What that's immediately telling me is that the next generation had normal trichomes. Okay, so we had a TT parent mixed with a T dominant and then some other allele. And the offspring that followed, so this is going to be our F0, let's say our F1. Our F1 expressed trichomes. We know that it got at least one dominant T allele. In the next generation, F2, we are told that we have both trichomes and no trichomes. So if this was selfed, would it be possible to get recessive and dominant phenotypes if this was like this? No, it wouldn't. So we know that this individual has to be heterozygous, which means that this individual, our wild type, was homozygous dominant. Okay, so now let's look at the numbers they gave us. You could have also just used the numbers that they gave. If you divided the normal by the no trichomes, you would get a number close to 3, which is always indicating a heterozygote cross with a heterozygote relationship. A. What do these results show? Includes proposed genetic genotypes of all plants in your answers. So, what do these results show? The results show that the mutation is recessive. which we have indicated in our problem with little t. The wild type is dominant, so big T. And the wild type parent was homozygous dominant. The F1 generation was the cross between no trichome parent so homozygous recessive, and the wild type which was homozygous dominant, resulting in heterozygote offspring. Big T, little t. It was self-pollinated, right? Yeah. The F2 was F1 self-pollinated. And resulted in trichome and their children could have been trichome homozygous dominant or heterozygous, so we'll write both since it's asking specifically for genotype. So, and resulted in trichome and non-trichome offspring. Okay, so something like that is how I would answer this question. Okay. I think that's it for this video.